Sad by pain, another hurt again. Got the phone call, lost another friend. Murdered by the book, they kill at every call. City on fire, all these youngins lost. It's a damn shame, can't walk down the street. Keep your head on swivel, they walking with that heat. Run up on your car, your family in them seats. Another life gone, over Betty B. When it fades away, when it fades away.
What's going on, y'all? We out here in the heart of Northeast DC, starting at McKinley Tech, where a lot of this man's story began. You know, this man is an artist, entrepreneur, social worker, mentor, and someone who's using this platform to uplift the people. You know, from American Idol to community healing, from stages to classrooms.
Yes, sir.
This Dre Black.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody?
What's going on with you, bro?
What's good, bro? Thank you for having me.
You know it.
Interviewing me and taking the time out to, you know, that I can share with the people my story a little bit. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And I appreciate you for, you know, taking the time out to do this with me.
No doubt, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So let's get a quick little background. You know, what's your history with McKinley Tech?
So McKinley Tech, man, this is my neighborhood high school. I didn't actually attend McKinley Tech, but like I say, this is my neighborhood high school, and you have the junior high school, which was Langley, and my elementary school, Emory, which I went to. So this is where I grew up. I didn't actually attend Tech. I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts, where you had to audition, so that's where I chose to go. But you know, this is a sentimental place for me because my mom, my dad, my aunts, my uncles, pretty much everybody in my family graduated from McKinley Tech. So this is kind of still home base for me.
Right.
And like I said, this is my neighborhood. So this is where, you know, I kind of flourish. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Okay, so let's take it back to your childhood, okay?
Okay.
Because, you know, you are from Northeast.
Northeast.
Right? So, what kind of kid were you? You know what I mean? Did people see this version of Dre Black coming?
Maybe, right? Because I wasn't like your typical child. You know, I was a child that was into the arts. You know, I was into singing. I was into music. You know, I was into dancing. I was into art. I was into so many different creative things. Where so like, you know, more so my cousins, you know, were into like football, basketball, you know, the typical, you know, things that you would expect, you know, a young male to be involved in, right? You know, but me, like I said, I was so different when it came to just like being inspired, you know, by music and just all the different creative arts. You know, so that's what pretty much my focus has been on. As a child, that was my focus was on. And so my mom, you know, she did everything to kind of hone in on that, like everything from summer camps to enrichment programs, anything to just kind of like develop me.
She invested in you.
She invested in me, right? She invested in me at an early age. She saw that I was serious at an early age. And she really, you know, really took advantage of that, and really whatever it was I did, or whatever I say, oh, Mom, I want to try this, I want to do that. She had my back 150%. I don't care what it was. You know, she was behind me. So.
Nah, shout out my dudes.
Yeah, shout out my dudes.
Shout out my dudes. Okay, and were you already, no, matter of fact, 5 years old. Let's get to that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
5 years old. So 5 years old, right? I feel like I started to realize that I did have, you know, some type of a gift. You know, I didn't really, I mean, I knew that I could sing, but I didn't really understand the mechanics of it all, right? I just knew that I started off singing in the choir at church. And, you know, my pastor, he would literally call me out the pew to sing this one particular song that I used to sing with the youth choir. And so I was just like, wow, man, that's when I kind of realized I had a voice. Fast forward to elementary school, Emory. It was a teacher by the name of Miss Wells who, you know, took an interest in me. I was in the 6th grade, and at the time, she had her own little thing going on the side. She was a teacher, but she had a group that she was managing.
Right.
And she knew that I could sing, and I was doing talent shows and stuff like that. So she invited me into her world, and had me sing. I think I was 12 years old. On my first, I guess you want to say record. Yep. It was a group called Triple Crown that she was managing, and that was literally the first time I was ever in the studio that I ever recorded anything. Was with Miss Wells. So shout out to Miss Wells at Henry Elementary School, because literally in the 6th grade, that was my first time in the studio.
And what about I seen something where it said you was writing music at 9 years old?
Yeah, I was, man. So I was writing.
So you was writing before you ever even got in the studio?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Like, and so, and my cousin Crystal, shout out Chris, that was my ace boon coon growing up. Like if you could talk to her, she would tell you like how passionate I was. So I would write songs. I had notebooks and composition books for songs, but I just didn't have, of course, like a producer or somebody to make beats. But I could come up with my own melodies. I had all these songs in my head, and and that's literally how I started writing songs, man. So the first song that I actually recorded was an instrumental that I took from. Who was that? T-Boss had released a song back in the day. It was called Touch Myself. But I used the instrumental off that, whatever the song was, I used that instrumental, and it sampled Salt and Pepper's Are You Ready? And the name of the song was called Are You Ready? And I literally recorded that, I want to say maybe at 15. I ain't know nothing about nothing. I ain't had no manager. I ain't had nothing. All I just knew, my cousin Crystal, like I said, I used to use her as my manager. And like we called around different studios, and I was like, okay, let's see what I can get in, man. Found the studio, had the instrumental, went in. The rest is history. Yes, sir. So like that's how I always been, man. Just kind of utilizing my resources. I never really like had a manager ever per se. Maybe a period of time, throughout my journey, I've had people that tried to help me, but nothing where I never had somebody to say, man, we taking you all the way to the top.
Nothing substantial.
Right. Yeah. So it's always literally been me, kind of grinding and fending for myself out here. And like that was part of the story. Like at 12 years old, I was in a studio, and then at 15, not even having a producer or even having access to a studio, I was out here looking up studios and just using instrumentals to write to. So that's pretty much how I kind of honed my craft. You know what I mean?
Okay. We kind of got a little far, but that's good. That's good. Okay, so you might have already tapped into it, but I want to really get into it. Like, what was that moment or like that turning point where you knew, okay, I want to push more towards art? You know what I mean? Even with the mentorship that you do, everything that you do, what was that moment where you knew you wanted to be on the on the positive side and help actually do something in the community versus just going along with everybody else doing?
Man, I would probably say later towards, I ain't gonna say career, but later in my journey of music, I would say about 2016, maybe 2015, between 2015 and 2016, right? Okay. 2017, I'll say. I was going through like kind of like when artists talk about like art, they be having writer's block, and just stuff like that. So I was in a place where I wasn't really thriving creatively. I wasn't feeling like I was my old self when it came to like just writing music and just being able to tap in and be creative. So at that time, and people always said, even coming up, growing up, that I was an excellent songwriter. I was good with the pen. Why not focus more so on songwriting? And blah, blah, blah. It's more lucrative. You get more money and all the whole nine, right? So I finally said, what? Let's try that angle, and I started Motivated Elevation LLC in 2017, which was to focus more on like songwriting and artist development, more so helping other artists kind of build their artistic repertoire up and help out with songwriting and vocal performance, stage, just all that, just trying to give back from what I received coming up, and what people poured into me, I was just trying to pour into others. And so I came across this opportunity called the Coast to Coast Interactive Showcase, which was in LA, And I just around the same time I started Motivated Elevation, and I was like, you know what, this would be the perfect time for me to go out there and you know, just off a whim, man. Like, it ain't nothing I planned for or nothing. I was just like, I'm gonna take this opportunity, take this chance. I'm gonna go out here and do it. My man, Project Genius Creation, who's my producer, been my producer for years. I let him know. He was like, man, I'm gonna make you a beat. I was like, man, I'm going out Cali. Man, he came back in like 2 days and had this crazy West Coast vibe. I probably wrote the song. Was called All Night Long. Probably like, I'll say maybe 2 days max. And the rest is history, man. I went out LA, still learning the song, in the rental car, trying to learn the word and all that for the performance. Look, bro, ended up winning 3rd place in the competition. My whole goal, my focus wasn't even on, you know, trying to win a competition or anything like that. I was just trying to be seen and be heard. Because in my mind, I was like, okay, this is my new company. You just need the platform. This is my new company, Motivated Elevation. I'm out here representing as a songwriter. I was trying to meet other artists and you know, network. Had no idea that I would be the one to walk away as a 3rd place winner. So I would say from that point, I said, you know what, let me start taking my music seriously. You know what I'm saying? So
Okay, if you could, let's say you could
pull. You want to start walking?
Let's say you could pull. We got time.
Oh yeah, okay.
We got time. So if you could pull a current student aside right now, right, and give them some real advice, right? What would you tell them?
Wow. Okay, in what capacity? Just any advice I would give them?
I mean, cause it's different. You know, I don't want to say just for music. You know what I mean?
Okay,
you got people doing whatever they do, but just that. Anything you could tell them, you know what I mean? Whether you play sports, you in between, you know, the streets and doing what you got to do in school. You know what I'm saying? Staying locked in because you from the environment.
So
you know what I mean?
Man, that's a great question, man. And being as though that, you know, I am a social worker in real life, and like you say, I am involved in the community. So what I would tell a young female, you know, I would just say. What would I say? I would say stay focused, right? If you are a person that may have a goal in mind or, you know, an aspiration, you know, try to tap into that, you know, try to get people to support you, do your research, whether it's basketball, culinary, music, dancing,
scientist,
anything,
mayor,
always, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Always you want to do your research to make sure it's something that you wholeheartedly are invested in and want to do, right? Because sometimes you have parents who may have dreams for their children or what have you, who may push those things on them, and then you have a kid that may not know, oh, well, this is what I want to do, or this is what I really want to do, or you know what, my mom wants me to do this, or my dad wants me to do this. But I would tell that person, look, know what you want to do, identify what it is that you're passionate about, right? Even if, you know, I've come across some people, some kids, not even say kids, but some youth who may be unsure about their journey, right? Moving forward in life. They may not know if they want to go to college or, you know, what the next steps are. And that's okay. You know what I'm saying? That's okay. You don't have to know everything at every moment, you know, but it is good to at least start with the foundation. You know, start kind of trying to identify what it is that you do like, what it is that brings you joy, right?
And it could be a variety of things.
It could be a variety of things, something that you may not even know that you was interested in, right? You know, and then just out of the magic, the clear blue sky, guess what? You may find yourself sketching, or you may find yourself in the kitchen more cooking, or you may find yourself taking pictures or you know, editing videos and stuff like that.
You might like a trade or something.
So you know, it's and I say all that to say, you know, because when I was working with a few youth and they was getting discouraged because they necessarily didn't have a plan after college, right? So it was like, oh man, like, what am I going to do? Da 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 da. Not saying that they was looking at themselves as a failure, but it was like when you see 80% of your class going to a college, or oh, I'm majoring in engineering, I'm majoring in da 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 da, and you may not necessarily have a plan, then you can start to I get it. You may feel like, man, well, what the hell am I doing? I don't. Well, where am I going with my life? But like you said, trades, and it's all different types of things that you can get involved with and make money. You know, I just had a young brother tell me the other day that he was interested in podcasting, and you know, I was just saying that, look, you know what, that's a great idea, man, and you know, podcasting is the new wave. You know, whether it is you doing a podcast about food, whatever the genre is, right? You know, in the long end, you can make some good money if you stay dedicated, if you committed, if you market yourself right. You know, you can see some long lasting effects from that. Versus somebody that's, you know, looking to jump into something and get immediate results. Get immediate money. Sometimes that's not always the best thing. Sometimes you gotta put in that work. You gotta lay a foundation for yourself, so when you do get in that right position, guess what? Everything else is gonna fall right into place.
And that's why it's best to go through the journey.
Exactly.
So you can appreciate it when you get it versus somebody just giving it to you when you take it for granted.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, we about to go on this walk.
All right, let's go. Where you wanna walk?
All right, now that we're in your neighborhood, right? What do these streets mean to you? And also, right, coming up as you was around here, what was the energy like in the neighborhood?
Wow, man, the energy in the neighborhood around here was vibrant. Because, you know, it was so many different houses, and it was us. Let me even get a little deeper. Was it more so love, survival, pressure, a little bit of, you know, a little bit of all of it? You know, what was it? It was probably a little bit of everything. Because you know, during that time when I was growing up, you know, as a child, it was all love. Like I said, you had all the black families on the block, so it was a sense of community for one, right? And so you had that, but then you had that aspect of street life. You know, coming up back in that time, I guess we would say, but the late '80s or what have you. You know, this neighborhood was very, very popular in them days. When it came to like street activity and drug activity and some of those things, like so you had that aspect, but in terms of just like community, it was always a sense of community. And like, even if you did have like your hustlers and whatever, you know, they took care of the community. They looked out for people or what have you that was in the community. So in that, I never really saw anything in regards to like anything like being dangerous or being scared or afraid of my life or that type of situation. Because even though you still had some crime and that type of activity going on, it was always a place of community, and people could come together. And
let me stop you right there, okay? So, and this is what I love about this city. I'm gonna say this in this interview too. So I'm from Maryland, right? And you know, I went to middle school out here, and I've been living out here the last 5-6 years. Right, and I used to work out here, so you know, even if you live in Maryland, you're gonna spend time in the city. Right, you're gonna go to school with people from the city that live out here. You might spend time with them while you out here, right? And the misconception is that, you know, oh, you gotta be out here looking over your shoulder. Now, I'm not saying you ain't gotta be on point, but I think the outsiders looking in don't understand like the love and the real camaraderie and like in the community. Like it might be stuff going on. There's people outside doing what they do, but at the end of the day, if you live out here, you family, and you gonna get that. You gonna get that love, that embracement. That little homie, go to school, do what you supposed to do. Versus come out here with us. Now you might got in certain situations the guys outside being the wrong influence, but for the most part, they want the youngest to go to school. They want them to do what they're supposed to do, and that's kind of the misconception with being in the city, you know, or any hood for real. It's like it's love.
Like, they look at it like, oh well, you know, even like when you look at some of the movies with some of the your more famous hustlers, right? And you know, and how they be in the community giving away turkeys or giving away, doing food drives and stuff like that. You know, they couldn't never understand, well, how could somebody so dangerous be, or as in their mind dangerous, could be so giving and give back to the community and the community. You know what I mean? So like you say, it is a big misconception, you know, but at the same time, you do want to be
on point. You got to be on point.
Like you're not going.
We ain't saying it ain't what they saying, but at the same time, it's another side to it too.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
For sure. Okay, so looking at the city now, right? And even with your coming up, matter of fact, before I ask that question, I'm gonna ask you this, because despite everything you've been through and overcame, was there ever a point where you felt like, I might not make it out of here, you know what I'm saying? And if so, what kept you grounded?
That's a good question, because I never really felt like, well, I always felt like I had an exit plan, and when I say that is because I was just on a different track.
Yeah.
Being involved in the arts and shit, going to Duke Ellington just gave me a whole different perspective as somebody who was going to McKinney or somebody that was going to Dunbar.
Yeah.
You feel me? So it was like I had more
more exposure,
and more to look forward to, right? Versus just thinking everything was, I'm about to go to school and blah blah blah, do this, we get this, whatever. I mean, of course we still had that, but it was more focused. I had a purpose. I actually had a purpose when I was going to school, right? So I think that's what kept me grounded, and I think the great thing about Duke Ellington was that it prepared you. It was almost like it was college prep, kind of, sort of, because it prepared you to take those type of situations and classes and all that information very seriously. And it just put my mind on a different playing field. So I had already knew, okay, man, I'm going to college, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. That was already embedded in my mind in the 9th grade. So that, I think that was the key for me. Versus and I'm not gonna say like put Duke Ellington on the pedestal. I mean, because it is a great high school. Don't get me wrong, but in comparison to other high schools, right.
It's a difference.
It's a difference.
And I want to say this. I want put everything you said into perspective, right? Because you said a lot right there. What kept him grounded was he had a purpose, right? And he was exposed to something different. So I did an interview yesterday, right? Shout out to my man Easy Money. And he said the same thing. I said, what you think it's going to take for us to, start seeing a change in the community? And he was like, they got to start seeing different, right? They got to get, more exposure to different things. And at the same time, they got to be willing to want to get the exposure and get the help, right? Being open-minded versus, sticking to just what I know. Because you can you can have, like you can have an idea for somebody, an opportunity, but if they're not familiar with it, if they don't know that this will work, if they ain't seeing that it worked, they're not gonna want to hear it. They're not paying no attention. These youngest now want to see results. They don't want to hear you just talking. They don't want to hear you talk. So if you don't look like you getting no money, you ain't got nothing going on, they ain't trying to hear that.
They don't want to hear it.
For sure.
Yeah, they want to see. They want to see the proof. The proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding.
Show me.
Yeah, show me. You can't just be talking. That's why they kind of don't respect a lot of the old heads. Right. And I got some coming up in regards to that. But so let's get back to where we was at. So compared to back then, right, would you say, if anything, right, looking at the city now, especially Northeast, like, if anything, has anything changed, and if so, what changed, and what's still the same?
Man, that's a great question. Well, standing in this neighborhood right now, a lot has changed. My mother still lives in this neighborhood. Now it's called Eckington. Well, I'm sorry, it's always been called Eckington, but now it's called Noma. I'm sorry. And unfortunately, my mom and her next door neighbor and then maybe another neighbor on the block are unfortunately the only black people that's left on the block. From when it was, like I said, it was a time when I remember I was telling y'all a sense of community where all these houses were full of black families. Every last one of them. Now, like I said, it's just my mom, maybe 3 houses on this one side. I don't even know none of these people on this block. So it's changed dramatically because it's no sense of community. Right. Even if you come around here and visit, like how you used to live somewhere and you go, let me go check in with the old folks around the neighborhood. You can't even do that because everybody's gone, right? And so I feel like that part is missing, like the soul. Is gone, and I feel like that's in a lot of places in the city because due to regentrification, right? That of course, I mean, it looks great, it's beautiful, okay, good, but what happened to the soul of the city? The soul of the city.
Like the chocolate city.
The chocolate city, man, and then you have all these transplants. That have come into the city and don't understand the culture. So, hence, case in point, a couple years ago when they was making a fuss about the go-go music and the noise ordinance and this and that and why and they just didn't understand the culture of the environment of the DC period.
And let's get into that, right? So, do you feel like the music now reflects that, right? Or do you think the music now Like, what do you think the music reflects now, just based on everything you said, as far as even with how streaming work now, with the bots and everything? How you feel like as far as like the way the music scene is going now? Because I'm gonna tell you my perspective, right?
Okay.
I feel like it's not like you said, and not because of gentrification, but everybody trying to get on, right? And that kind of correlates with the bots, right? And the industry plants. You got people doing whatever to just get in position to look lit. And I feel like now we still in swag. You know what I mean? We doing what's working for somebody else. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing. And look, that's one thing I give, bruh, is you can't compare him to nobody. Now you can put him in a certain genre. Like I say, he got like that reggae swag, but it's true to him though. Like it's good feel music. It's not your everyday just, you wouldn't even know, man, if you heard his music, you wouldn't even know he's from this area.
Thank you,
like
bro.
he's just one of the ones that stand out. You know what I'm saying? And like everything he's saying as far as like the schools, the being in the arts, his mother investing in him, putting that time, it pulls into the music and it represents him well. Even working with the kids, like the music represents him. You know what I mean? And I like, so back to the question, how do you feel like the music in the area represents the area, like us in general?
So I think I'm gonna answer that in two parts. So the first part is, I feel like I appreciate that the go-go music is still thriving, right?
Shout out.
I feel like that's the legacy of DC culture, the go-go music, right? So I feel like that is always going to be at the forefront. When you think of DC music, right? Because it's ours. It's ours. I mean, the go-go music is ours. We
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
we birthed it, right?
Even with something simple as that, real quick. Why don't more artists do live? You know what I mean?
Like, man,
you about to perform, do a show, bring a band out with you. They can do a little set.
That's why I always used to have a band.
Real life, keep it true to
even
the
though it
culture.
wasn't go-go, or I wasn't a go-go band per se, I still always incorporated that go-go pocket or whatever it was to connect with my audience.
And that's just another example of him staying true to himself.
Exactly, you know what I'm saying?
It's in the
but when I'm thinking about, like, I'll say like the hip-hop culture of music, and what they call
slide music,
all that, all that, I'm not necessarily into it, right? But I do understand that it's the music of the time. That's the music that the youngest creating. So I would never knock their form of expression. However, I do know that it's a lot of young cats out here that's really talented, right? And if they really put their minds to it and they really wanted to break outside of that box, they could. Unfortunately, they're not.
They stuck in that box.
They stuck in the box.
They
stuck in the box. And I would love for some of us to break out of it and just to kind of, just show. I mean, because DC is a place, one of the places where I've seen some extraordinary talent out of all the places I've been, like, whether, they want to say New York or they want to say Atlanta or they want to say all these different places. No, DC, true DC got some hardcore talent, whether it's, all across the board, whether it's vocalists, rappers,
drummers,
artists, you know what I'm saying, dancers,
comedians,
I mean,
all of it, designers,
everything. I mean, everything, we got it. So my question becomes, where's the disconnect?
Right.
Because you got all this popping, all this raw talent thriving. But we can't never seem to get to that next level.
I think what it is the neighborhoods, of course, and it's like how it is. This is my perspective, right? This don't apply to me though. But I feel like it's once you choose a side, like if two hoods beefing and you want to work with an artist that's on that side, a lot of these artists that ain't got nothing to do with that put themselves in the middle. Instead of looking at it like it's just business, I ain't got nothing to do with what y'all got going on. I'm working with you, so I'm on your side, I'm not working with them. And just little stuff like that. And that's one thing I give, I don't know, I think it's Atlanta, right? A lot of the artists in Atlanta, they've said, like, we might got beef, but when it comes to this music, it's just music. We trying to make some money.
They make that money.
And I respect that.
I respect that.
It's like, keep it in the streets. If it's in the streets, we shouldn't even know y'all beefing. You know what I'm saying?
DC, you got that crab in the barrel mentality, or versus like you say, and I feel like DC, like, it's like people almost don't want to see the next man win. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I can do. Should I do that too, man? I shoot video.
Cause look. Matter of fact,
you know what I'm saying?
Let me cut into that because I meant to bring this up earlier. Think of somebody like Wale, right? Wale was the first real one to come from here, at least in our generation, At least for me, I say.
Yeah.
Wale was the first one that made it. That was like, okay, he from here. You know, he came with the night, and he was working with the bands.
He was.
Right?
He was working with.
He was working with the
UCB
bands.
and all that, yeah.
And then Trail followed him up. Right.
Yes,
I'm
yep.
talking about the ones that did it big. I'm not saying like as far as just in the city, but I'm talking about the ones that did something
Right,
with it.
right.
You got Trail, right, and then you had Shy.
Yep.
And then you had Light Show, right? Wale put his hand in each one of their careers, whether they signed with whoever he wanted them to or something. He played a part at some point, whether it's with a song or opportunity.
Yep.
He did something. And look at how they do him. Right? Yeah, look how they do Wale. So think about the next man that might come up. Right? You know what I'm saying?
No respect.
Like even if you take that away, his music is what it is.
Yeah.
And they even try to, you know, belittle that or trash that.
And you gotta think too, he came out in the game in the era, I would say, when it was Cole, Kendrick, I want to say. I mean, he was all in that line.
Yep, that was his lane.
Yeah,
that's what was going on.
Right?
Yep.
And so for him not to even be considered or even to be in some of those conversations, it's a little crazy.
And the reason being is because they say he not street enough. But at the same time, it's like, don't you want something different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he never came out saying he was on no gangs. That's what I don't get either. It ain't like Wale be out here trying to push the gangster image. Like,
I think that comes from like
his ties, who he aligned to.
Yeah, and they thinking that he's supposed to. I don't know. I guess because he technically. So from the story that I know. He was working with UCB or whatever, right? And you know, UCB Uptown, whatever. So he used to have affiliations with Uptown, of course, naturally, right? And so, you know, Wale is from Montgomery County. And so, you know, a lot of times that's all I would hear. Oh, he from Oco. He not a true representation
where he from, right? Nothing about the music.
Nothing about the music.
Right. Nothing
about the music. You talking about where he from?
Right.
I mean, come on.
Right.
He's still from the DMV.
That's the disconnect too. We get into it as we talk about it. That's the disconnect. People more so worry about where you from, if you actually put in some work, if you know what I mean, your credentials. Now, given if you're going to be making free car music, I feel like you should, in some part, that should be really, you know, your background. Yeah. I don't feel like you should be out here promoting that if that ain't the life you live. I feel like you shouldn't be promoting it at all. I feel like if you're talking about it, you should be talking about your experience in a way where it's not incriminating, but you're being creative, but you're telling the story like how King Von did his. Exactly. Right? But don't put nothing that's like, you know, real information in there, but just be creative, have fun with it. Y'all trying to be too real. And then some of the most talented artists, like look at you, for example, right? You say went to Duke Ellington, your mother invested in you, you know what I'm saying? You stayed out the way your whole life, right? And you stand on that, and you are who you are, right? That's cool. You get what I'm saying? The fact that you can come up in the same environment and still come out at the end and be you. You see what I'm saying? And still accept it as you are. Like you an example. That's why I want to talk to people like you. Because you from the trenches, you from the hood. Like you ain't a product of your environment though. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? And this is an example. And now what you do, you give back. You work with the kids. You see what I'm saying? You started businesses helping kids, giving back with what you know, with the writing. You ain't just take it like most people want to keep it to themselves, scared to shine your light. And then another thing, you started in the church and you started young. So you know that's commendable, bro.
Thank you, bro.
So I feel like, you know, that's why I wanted to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to talk to my man.
I appreciate that.
I said we like people like this with some substance, a real story.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, you don't really hear. I mean, you do sometimes, but
it ain't too often.
It's not too often, right? People choose to focus on the bogus, the other stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? But you know, like I said, I thank you, man, for taking the time out to talk to me and just let me share a little bit of my journey. You know, in hopes that I can help somebody or you know, teach somebody you know, something. You know, out here. And we need more artists like that. Artists that's just giving back. Like you gotta look at it like this. If you're an artist, this is my advice to artists, right? And I'm not an artist. If you get put in position, right, with your music, right? Obviously, the music comes from your supporters, which is the people. So if you got thousands of people, I don't care if it's 10,000, 100,000, better yet, millions of people that's listening to your music, putting money in your pocket, supporting you. You gotta give back. You know what I'm saying? And I know y'all probably don't got to, but you should want to. Because at the end of the day, you won't be in your position without the people. That's why we kind of look at artists crazy when they get that money and start trying to drag, because you won't be in that position without us. You know what I'm saying? So you look wild. You know what I mean? That's like going to the store, buying something, and then talking crazy to the person that owns the store. Like, nah. That's like, exactly. You wouldn't have what you had without, you know what I'm saying, without the people. So you guys stay humble. That's why people respect the Nipseys and the Kendricks and the J. Coles, because they where they at in life, but at the same time they grounded. They're not too big for the people. They still, you know,
they still pushing for the people. So yeah, I feel like artists should want to get back and do it together. You know what I mean? Lose them egos, stop trying to be too cool, and you'll get more clout for real doing positive things than crashing out. Right. It's but so far you can get if you dead or in jail behind the music you making. Might as well do right by it.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Okay, so let's talk about the music. Let's talk about the music, right?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how these motherfucking.
Yeah, we can go down. Yeah, them Jones getting to me too. I'm right here fighting. God damn. So, okay, so let's talk about your sound real quick.
Yes, let's go.
Because if you never heard Dre Black, listen to me. Tap in. Don't expect what you don't expect, okay? Don't expect what you don't expect. Nah, for real. Because like you say, judge a book by its cover. You can't look and tell, like the type of music he make, I'm telling y'all, it's different, y'all. Like my man got his own swag, y'all. I love that.
I appreciate you, bro.
Okay, so being your sound is different, right? It's intentional, right?
It's very intentional.
So who inspired that style?
Man, that's a good question. So many, bro. I couldn't even. Okay, so I'll say I can begin with something, right? I grew up on Motown. My father it was all Motown, oldie but goodies. And I would go over his house, when me and my brother would go over his house for the weekends, every other weekend type situation. You know, he had the little cassette tapes and all that. And I would just listen through all the cassette tapes, man, from Smokey Robinson, Cena Marie, Diana Ross and Supreme, Luther Van. I mean, just all these different artists, right?
Yep.
And in a way, you know, I started to study them. And when I say study, I mean just as far as like listening to the melodies, learning how to stack my vocals and to do my own background vocals and harmonize with myself. Like, so I learned all of that stuff, right? But it wasn't until maybe around, I want to say, I guess like the 90s, you know what I'm saying, early 90s, or, you know, when I was still, you know, as a child or whatever, when I think it was, who was it? Teddy Riley and I think it was Rump Shaker or something. Like I say, I was young. I mean, I was a kid, but like that, like hearing that, it kind of like woke something in me. Then you had the Rump Shaker. Then I think Mary J. Blige came out, and that was the New Jack Swing or whatever they was calling it back then. So all these different sounds started coming, man, and I just became a student of music. And literally just trying to be a better songwriter and putting melodies together and really just trying to understand music, I guess. Because like I said, I was writing since I was a youngin', but it was just writing, putting shit together, like never, you know. So then it becomes where you actually go from writing to learned experience and trying to put lived experience and write lived experience and putting it into music, right? So I think throughout all that, that's how my style kind of came about. I've always had a different sound, man. Like even when I was doing music back then, like I always had just a different sound. Like you can never say, oh, he sound like whoever, or
he trying to be like
I would, you know, thank God for that. I've always had my own original style, bro. And I don't know where that come from. I mean, I guess it comes from me just being exposed to so many different genres of music, going to Duke Ellington, having to learn classical music,
and that, see, everything he's saying ties back into exposure.
Yeah, exposure,
right? Just being exposed to more, and that's why the sound is what it is now, because we stuck in the box. Niggas listen to the same type of music. We all listen to each other. We're not stepping outside that comfort zone. Man, listen, on my own time, country music. You hear me? What's that pop music? You know what I'm saying?
I love it all, bro.
Man, listen to me. And people don't even understand. Like, when you get, maybe because I'm 30, you know, but I've been listening to R&B since I was a kid. Even in high school, we in the car, I play some R&B. I don't care who in the car. You know what I'm saying? But so I just feel like, you know, as far as like with the, like you said, time back into it with the local rap scene, We just got to get out that box,
Yeah.
right? And we got to more. So let's work together, because your sound with somebody else's sound that's totally different. Let's bring it together.
And this
fan bases connect. Now
All
y'all build a
that, man.
relationship, and it just
goes
from there.
from there.
And that's all it is, planting the seeds and just letting it flourish.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Okay, so we about to get into this last segment, y'all. We got a nice little segment for y'all. We're gonna get into the mentorship. You know, my man work with the kids, social worker.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna tap back in. We're gonna get right back with y'all. All right, we back. Okay, we sitting right here actually in front of Ma Duke's house.
Yes,
so this
sir.
the house you grew up in.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what that was like. What was that experience like for you? Or not even experience, but what was it just like coming up here in this, this nice, beautiful home,
Man,
nice neighborhood.
Look, I hone my vocal skills in this house, right? Great, what you call it, acoustics. So rest in peace to my grandmother. One of the things she would used to say was, would you stop all making all that noise? Stop all that yelling. You know, but in my mind, I was really in here, singing songs and, just trying to, express myself, call myself singing for her, right? But those are some of the great memories that I remember.
The moments you cherish.
That I cherish, being in this house and being able to just to sing and freely, right? Because now, that, you go to different, like say, as I've grown and moved in different spaces, I didn't never necessarily felt the freedom or have to be singing as, like it here.
Right.
Like, oh man, I don't want nobody to hear me or neighbors can hear me or whatever. We're here. And it was as free as a bird. I could sing as loudly as I wanted and not be judged or shut up, you say so that's what I remember and cherish about growing up.
Oh no, that's what and I want to get into that because me personally, I just like talking about them. But let's talk about grandma. What was that relationship? Everybody love their grandma. What was that relationship?
Really though? Oh man, my grandmother Elaine Williams, man, rest in peace, bless her heart. That was my when I say heart and soul, like, I know people can say, oh, my grandma, my granny, this was the best granny, but when I tell you my grandmother was the best grandmother, bro, like, she was just everything. You know what I mean? Just like I was saying, my mother was so encouraging and supportive. Take that times 10, times 20. That was my grandmother, right? So just always pouring to me, letting me know that I, was going to be somebody or that I was enough. You know what I'm saying? So she was just always the
she was everything.
Supporter,
Yes, Lord.
My mother, for sure.
Yes, Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Lord. So long. Condolences to your grandmother. Long live grandma.
Yes,
shout out grandma.
Yes,
I know she proud of the man she got today.
I know she is.
You know what I mean?
I wish she could be here to see.
She see you.
Well, she see you for sure. Yeah,
she see you.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? She always here in spirit. Always remember that.
Yes, sir.
So yes, sir. You made her proud. So hey, that's what you do it for.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
All right. So now, let's talk about. You do something that I'm pretty sure I probably won't have this conversation with nobody else, right? And I don't want to judge, right? I don't want to assume that I won't. But this is something that I don't think I even heard nobody have a conversation with nobody with. But let's talk. You in the book club?
Yeah.
The Free Minds Book Club.
I am in the Free Minds Book Club, bro. So
you do mentorship, right?
Yeah.
You a social worker.
Yes, sir.
So you really in the field giving back to the community. You ain't somebody that's just talking about it.
Oh yeah, I'm really out here doing the work.
So let's start with the book club, and then we're gonna go into working with the kids and just the community and everything.
Okay. All right. So the Free Minds Book Club. Shout out to Free Minds. Shout out to Tara, who is one of the founders of it. And who brought me on board, man, in the most organic way possible. I was invited to poetry reading at the Kennedy Center. And it was put on by Free Minds, and pretty much Free Minds, they deal with, ex-incarcerated individuals, and who provide this safe space through a book club. So they provide, readings, and they go to the jail, and they have monthly readings, and they write poetry, and they have these symposiums where they share the poetry, and then people can provide feedback, and then they'll send the feedback back to the writers who still may be in jail. So I mean, it's a great great organization for reentry,
Right.
to rebuild and to pour into those individuals who are just returning back home, returning citizens, you know, who are trying to get their footing back in society.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot, you know, and it's a population that we sometimes forget about.
Right.
You know, because you know, oh, they was locked up or or you know, whatever. Not stereotype, but whatever preconceived notion that you may have
Right.
about somebody. Right?
So let me ask you this, right? Because you said preconceived notion. I'm glad I got you right here. So what are the type of people you deal with on a regular basis? Like, what is the typical person that you're dealing with?
Man, and I'm not even talking about people that's incarcerated, but just on a regular basis, people that's been, you know, dealing with, you know, all types of trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, whether it's, you know, from whatever experience in life, whether it's, you know, sexual trauma, whether it's neglect, abuse,
yeah.
you know, whether it's somebody who may have died, or you know, somebody who may be taking care of a sick relative, or you know, anything, you know, a lot of people in this day and age, right? We are triggered by so many different things.
Yep.
And we may not necessarily know the cause of it, right? Because we just don't have the understanding, or we may not really dig that deep within ourselves, or seek out the help.
Yep,
right?
doing soul searching.
Exactly, yeah. And then it's such a stigma when it comes to mental health within our community, right? You know, a lot of people for years and years would turn their nose up to therapy or any type of mental health treatment, right?
Yep.
It was shunned upon, right?
Right, yeah.
You know, so now, you know, that people have become a little bit more understanding, a little bit more open,
Aware.
a little bit more aware, educated. You know, it's not as taboo as it was before. So
Right.
you do have young brothers coming out and saying, hey man, I need help, I need assistance, I need X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? I need the support.
Yeah.
You know, versus where you would back in the day, well, I don't say back in the day, but a few years back, you know, those brothers weren't saying those things. They were suffering in silence, self-medicating, you know, suffering,
you know, getting high, getting drunk,
you know what I'm saying, versus, you know, knowing that there was an organization like a Free Mind, or, you know, so many organizations out there, right, that are here to help people, uplift people, rebuild people, right? And so I'm just glad that I've had the opportunity to be on that side, because you know, I've seen it, you know, where, you know, people come from all aspects of life, bro. You can come from being born with a silver spoon in your mouth, born with nothing, but guess what, you know, everybody's going to experience their own personal, individual struggle at some point. You know, it don't matter who you are. It don't discriminate either. You know what I mean? So, but just being aware and having the know-how, and being, what's the new word that they're using now? Emotionally intelligent, and things like that. And have we ever heard that? We just heard that term in most recent years, right? We never heard emotionally intelligent 20 years ago. You know, so just being aware, being educated, you know, and just understanding, like, man, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to depend on your fellow man. It's okay to say, hey, bro, I'm not in a good space right now. You know, I need some time, or whatever the case may be.
And in essence, it's okay to be human.
It's okay to be human, bro. It's because that's what we are. We're not perfect.
We're not invincible.
Never will be perfect. We're not invincible. It's like, you know, so, you know, all of these things we go through on a daily basis to help us, hopefully, to prepare us to be better people, for whether it's our kids, our spouses, or whatever. You know, just to have that upper hand, moving forward, right? Instead of always copping out an excuse, or saying, oh, I ain't had this when I was that, or my da-da-da-da-da when I was doing this. So, you know, always copping out. You know, instead of copping out, you know, find that cop out and utilize it as a strength, and to empower.
And I want
hey, what's up, Eddie? I know that ain't you over there, bro. Oh, my bad, bro.
You good. And I want to piggyback on that, right? Like, if you going through it right now, like, you know, you're in a tough space mentally, you feel like, you know, like you said, ain't no resources for you, ain't no opportunity, you got to start, you know, walking in abundance, right? And what that mean is, don't chase, right? a track. Put yourself in position. So if you do music, don't feel like you got to run behind all these labels or run behind all these different artists trying to get on. All you got to do is make good music, stay consistent, put the content out, and it's going to come to you. And that's just how the universe works. And that's with anything. So instead of chasing, feel like you can't do it, create an opportunity for yourself.
Yes, sir.
And once you got that mindset, can't nothing stop you.
Man. Okay, preacher.
You know, man, hey, this one of them ones right here.
Man, no bull,
one of them ones. Okay, so we're gonna close out with this, right? Because this one, you know, these my type of conversations, one of my favorites so far. I want to close out with this, right? Finish this sentence off for me, right? My purpose is
to continue to be intentional about what I'm putting out into the universe. And that may look like just waking up every morning with a positive affirmation, saying my prayers or whatever the case may be, but just being intentional about how I want to live my life. That's my purpose, right? You know, making sure that if I see my fellow man that may not be having a good time or a good day or struggling with something, making sure that look, bro, I'm here if you need me. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even got to be a whole bunch of conversation or whatever, anything, right? But just letting somebody know that you got their back, that you support them, that you in their corner, that goes a long way.
Yes, sir.
Trust and believe. It's the little things that make a big difference, right? And I've learned that, you know what I'm saying? I've learned that in these years of just, you know, grinding and just trying to be a better person and understanding, I guess, life. And like you say, purpose. What is our purpose, right? And just being able to kind of communicate that and when I'm able to pour into other people, I feel like that's the bigger purpose, right? Because and even with my music, whether or not if it may touch one or two people, if somebody can walk away and say, man, I feel better about this, or man, I just heard that Dre Black song and I'm gonna do this different, or blah blah blah,
made me feel like this,
then I know that my mission has been accomplished, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to inspire, I want to help other people, and I want people to walk away feeling like, you know what, man, I feel better after talking to Dre, or I feel better with when I
listen to the music, when I'm just around him, his spirit, his energy. So that was a conversation yesterday I had, and I asked him, while we were saying, like, you know, what impact do you want to leave? What do you want people to feel when you walk in the room, when you leave a room, when you come around? Like, what's that energy you want to bring? And, you know, one thing I can say about Dre Black, you know, and like he said, his purpose, it aligns with the man he is today. He's a vessel for, you know, positivity, you know, just being a helping hand, just being there, showing love. Like, he's a living example of just a positive person. You know, everything he's saying is who he is. That's why I wanted to do this interview with him. You know what I mean? The proof is in the pudding, and it ain't even close to being over. You know what I mean? So my man out here doing this thing, y'all tap in, you know what I mean? Let him know where to find you.
You can find me on Instagram, EST619. You can find me on Facebook, Dre Black Music. You can find me on X, Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, at Dre Black. And then my link tree where I have all my links, videos, and all that stuff is just Dre Black. So you can connect with me.
That's Apple Music, YouTube.
Apple Music. I'm on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, Amazon, everything, Spotify, man, just tap in with me. And just another little note too, it'll be a year on July 12th, coming up, matter of fact, on Saturday, that I just released it'll be a year for my project, Good Intentions, man. So if you guys haven't checked it out, if you haven't heard it, make sure you guys go check it out, run up the numbers. It's like I say, it's a year anniversary, one of my most proud projects that I put out. Like my man said, it definitely gives you that reggae, Caribbean kind of flavor, but it's still Dre Black. You know what I'm saying? All day long. And the project is called Good Intentions, and it's all about just what we just talked about, which is being intentional from creating the project to the songs that I was writing about and the topics. And so, please check it out, man, and continue to support your boy, man, for real.
Yes, sir. We checking out. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
Fulfillment.